Hey everyone, it's David. Happy New Year. I thought today we could take a look around my plant room and see how all of my plants are doing in January of 2025. There's a few things blooming. I know I have a few Paphiopedilums blooming right now. A couple of them are first-time bloomers for me. I probably have a new plant here or there that I haven't shown yet as well. So let's get started and take a closer look. So let's start by looking at the dart frog terrarium. I do have the Paphiopedilums in here, and I've noticed there are a couple flower spikes starting to show. So you can see both of them right there. You can see here's one flower spike started, and here's another. So that's exciting that I'll have two blooming at once in here. Don't see one over here. Unfortunately, I won't have three this year, but I'm pretty happy with two. I think this terrarium is looking pretty nice. The moss is starting to grow in pretty well. I did take a lot of the vine out in the back to let more light in for the Paphiopedilums. And I'm pretty happy with the way that it's looking right now. Dart frogs seem to like it. And then if we move down this way, here we have a Phalaenopsis. I believe I do have the tag of this one, so if I can find it, I'll put the name up. But it has a yellow flower, and it's actually a fragrant Phalaenopsis, so that's nice since most of them do not have fragrance. It's also a miniature, which I also like that. I prefer miniature Phalaenopsis. Let's see, back there I do have a Christmas cactus, which you'll see a lot of them strewn out throughout my plant room because I generally keep them indoors over winter. And they're blooming at all different times this winter since I have them in grow light, under grow light, so it kind of messes with their natural cycle of blooming more around Thanksgiving to Christmas for me. Other than that, I have quite a few Paphiopedilums in here. Mostly ones I've had for a while. This one right here is blooming right now, and it's really nice. It's a very kind of a dark color, which is really nice. I'll see if I can maybe try to get a better photo or video of it up showing the colors, but I've really enjoyed this one, and it also has a pretty nice leaf, which that's what I always like specifically about Paphiopedilums, when they have a nice kind of mottled leaf like this. And then this right here is a new Paphiopedilum that I just got. I actually recently joined my local orchid society, and I went to one of their meetings, and they raffle off orchids as part of the meeting, and I actually went away with this orchid right here. And people at the meeting were telling me that this is actually a fragrant Paphiopedilum. So I'm pretty excited about that since none of my Paphiopedilums are fragrant. And I'm also just really excited about the Orchid Society that I joined because I'm gonna have all these, new connections of people I can talk to and learn even more about orchids, which is, something I'm definitely interested in. And hopefully I'll get more involved with events, and I'll see a lot more orchids that hopefully I'll be able to share with everybody. And then I have, let's see, just a couple Cattleya type orchids. This one right here, you can see there's a new growth. Sorry, I'm super shaky. There's a new growth here. And I just divided this, so I have another half, which will come across soon. But Cattleyas are an orchid that I just struggle with. They always grow for me, but they never flower. And usually when a plant doesn't flower but lives, it's usually means it's not getting enough light. But as you can see, I have them pretty close to the grow lights right now. And my other orchids are able to bloom like this, but never Cattleyas, so I'm still trying to figure those out. Here's my Earth Stars. I just have it in this little glass terrarium, but that's temporary. I think I want to do something fun with this little glass box and make a little environment in there with I don't know, maybe mosses and stuff like that. I haven't quite figured it out, but that's a project for another day. My jewel orchids are just barely starting to bloom. I think I'm starting to see just the first couple open. I have so many of these around. I think I'll just put up a video right now of my best looking one that I have right now. And I think I'll also maybe do a separate video on the jewel orchid soon, since it's been a while since I've talked about the jewel orchid, and I have a lot to say about it, so I think I'll just do a separate video on that. And then over on this next shelf, I have a few African violets that are starting to bloom. This one looks pretty nice. This is my Earth Star that is in desperate need of transplanting. Like, here's like a dead piece. I just need to reconstruct this. The soil has like settled down like so far away from where the roots are, which is why there's been problems. I've been telling myself I need to do this for months and months and months, but hopefully someday soon I'll get to it. Here's another African violet. I just divided this one, and here's half of it that I replanted in this pot. That's why it's looking a little wilted and sad right now, because it just got repotted within the last couple days. Here's a dancing lady type Oncidium. I recently repotted this one as well, and I just kind of kept a smaller piece and, you know, kind of started over with it. Hopefully this one will bloom again soon. Another African violet in bloom right now. This one has a nice red colored flower. Also under the leaf color is a nice dark red. And this one also just has a really nice form. It's very symmetrical, and I always like the way that this one I think always, you know, keeps this nice form better than a lot of my other African violets, and I really appreciate that about this one. Here's another Cattleya type of orchid, and here's a new growth on it. And like I said, Cattleyas, they'll grow for me, but they'll not flower for some reason, so still trying to unlock that. So I'm still trying to unlock that type of orchid. Here's a little miniature Phalaenopsis orchid. This is a new one for me. So it was actually just given to me, and it was blooming when I got it. It's kind of a nice little peach color, and hopefully it stays miniature, but it looks miniature right now. Unfortunately, there was no ID with this one. And here's another Paphiopedilum orchid. It is just barely opening, like literally today. I think it actually still has a little bit more to go. But this particular Paphiopedilum is the same ones that are in the terrarium, and I have a couple others. This one actually is a different one, but this Paphiopedilum, I have several of them. I've had it for years and years, and you know, I divide them, and I always just want to keep them because I just like them so much. But maybe now that I'm part of the Orchid Society, I'll be acquiring more and more orchids, and I'll have to, you know, choose which ones I keep. This is my rescue Phalaenopsis that I think I showed in another video. There's, you know, it had a big burn on the leaf and a split. I planned on repotting it right away, but I ended up keeping it. And it's been doing fine, and it's really enjoyed being under the lights. And it actually, if I can show, has a bloom stalk that formed, and that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to get a bloom. I didn't cut the old bloom because I was hoping it would offshoot, just so I could see a bloom sooner rather than later. And then I can see what color the flowers are and if it's something I like. And if it's not, I'll just get rid of it. And if it's something interesting, then I'll just keep it on. And then here's another Phalaenopsis. And then you can see this one has a flower spike forming. And then I have my Hoya macrophylla and Psychopsis orchid. And then if we move up, you can see Mr. Furryfoot Fern is still looking pretty nice, and he's huge. You can take a little look at his rhizomes down there. And then, I'm not sure, I don't think I've ever shown these grow lights that I added. It's just kind of like a little spotlight that you can put a houseplant under, and there's a built-in timer, and then you can change the dimness and stuff like that. I think they look pretty nice. This is also one of my newer orchids that I got within this past year. It did bloom, and then new bloom shoots started to form on the stems. This is still the original nursery pot that I bought it in, so I probably should transplant this into a new pot pretty soon. I always have so many, so many gardening projects. I'm always working on something. And then here's another Paphiopedilum orchid. It looks like this one is actually on its way out. It's not going to last much longer. It's been blooming for quite a while, and I've really enjoyed this one. I'll probably try to put up another picture of what it looked like when the flower was a little bit more fresh. And it is a mottled leaf variety, which I do like. And then here's another orchid that bloomed out. There's just a couple more little flowers left, and then this one will be done, unfortunately, until next year. But I enjoyed it while it was here. And then here's an Oncidium type of orchid that's just barely starting to bloom. The very first flowers are just coming out now. But I counted the bloom spikes the other day, and there were 7 bloom stalks coming up. So that will be really nice when they're all up and blooming. And then this is the other half of that African violet that I said I recently divided and transplanted. And here is one of my Christmas cactuses. This is one that I've grown from seed. Kind of a nice light pink and white color. And then we have some Calathea, and then one of my many Phalaenopsis type orchids. And I believe I saw that this one, yes, there is a bloom spike. Actually, I'm seeing 2 bloom spikes. There's one kind of down there and then one up here. So that will be nice that there'll be 2 bloom spikes coming from this one. All right, over on this shelf down here, I have another Psychopsis orchid here. And then back in this pot, I have some jewel orchids, which once again are just starting to pop off. And it's actually planted with a Paphiopedilum orchid. And they've always just really grown well together. So I've never divided them or separated them, but we'll see how far or how long that lasts, because obviously at some point they will need to be transplanted. And then down here I have just a little kind of cutting of a Dendrobium type of orchid. So hopefully this one will grow up to be blooming size. Here's that Cattleya orchid that I mentioned that I had recently divided. So here's the other half of it, and you can see there's actually 2 new growths on this one. So if it actually does bloom, we could even maybe get 2 blooms, hopefully. And as you can see, I transplanted it way over on the side of the pot with the new growth going toward the center of the pot. So hopefully as it continues to grow, it will grow this way and it will be able to stay in this plot for quite some time. One of my many Christmas cactus that I grew from seed, this one already bloomed this winter. And then these are my jewel orchid kind of cuttings that I have over here. These are popping off, but after they bloom, I'm gonna transplant these all together into a nice pot. And then just kind of off to the side, I just have a few more house plants. I have a begonia. The variety of this one's called Looking Glass. I've always really enjoyed the leaf of this one, and it's been pretty easy to care for. I've had it, just years and years and years. I have taken cuttings from it, but I've just always really enjoyed it. And a couple Calathea. I'll just show you a few other houseplants that I have scattered around. This is a lemon lime maranta. I really love the way the leaves look on this plant. I'm always drawn to a plant with really interesting leaves. And then we also have this terrarium that I've had for a really long time. It has a lot of air plants, some bromeliads, some jewel orchids, as I have those everywhere. But we can just kind of take a little closer look. I did recently redo a lot of this terrarium, kind of this reddish striped bromeliad. I had a lot of this. It kind of was taking over the terrarium. And I ended up taking most of it out and just keeping this one little piece. And I was much more interested in this bromeliad with kind of the pink leaf. And it's also a very smooth leaf with no jagged teeth on the end. So I kind of wanted this bromeliad more to take over the terrarium. So I kind of put this front and center. And I also put it on this log right here, which there is moss and moisture that does work its way up. So I think these bromeliads will be pretty happy. And then I just have various different species of air plants. I do have, this is a philodendron. I think it's called burl marks. Here's another air plant up there. And then you can see there is way down at the bottom jewel orchids, and they're in bud right now, so that will be nice to have some orchid blooms in here. But that's how this terrarium is looking in January of 2025. Last but certainly not least, I wanted to show my oldest Christmas cactus. This Christmas cactus is over 20 years old, and unfortunately I did have a few problems with it this year. This fall, I accidentally overwatered it, and I had several pretty large branches fall off of the Christmas cactus. Unfortunately, it was totally my fault. I overwatered the Christmas cactus in the fall time, which is the easiest time to overwater a Christmas cactus because a Christmas cactus can generally take quite a bit of water during the summer months. But once the days start to shorten, you really need to pull back on the watering, which I didn't. And I think part of the reason why is because we started to get some rain here, and I was excited to use all of the rainwater on my Christmas cactus. But unfortunately, I think I just went a little bit too much. And I also don't have too much bark in my mix, which contributed to it staying wet for too long. So that's something I definitely need to be careful about, and I'll try to do better next year because this is definitely not a plant that I want to lose. So there we have it, everybody. That was a tour of most of my houseplants. I think I probably missed a couple of them, but maybe they'll come up again in a future video. And as always, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like seeing plant content like this, be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!